friends, and welcome to another episode of Life of a Rich Girl Show. We're all about education, elevation, and exposure to your rich lifestyle for personal development. That's the journey that we're on. In this series, this is our Beyond the Brunch events, okay? We had our 2023 Brunch in Black this year, and we were so honored to award 5 phenomenal women with Richie Awards. Today, we are interviewing Miss Shanelle Smith. She was the recipient of the Rich in Mind Award. And so we're going to get to talk to her, find out all about her and what she's been doing and what really made us award her the Rich in Mind recipient for 2023. Before we jump into that, you know we have to go into things you may not know. All right, so this week we're talking all about how do we show up when we dress. So this week's life hack, you know, we always have so many places to go and things to do, and you don't always know, what should I wear, right? What should I wear? I got to go here, I got to go there. And we always want to just, you know, make sure that we're on point when we show up. So a couple things with this life hack. One, you heard the term, they say, dressing all black. Dressing all black is very classy, right? You can't go wrong if you dress in all black. You can do the same thing with other colors. This is my, you know, unofficial stylist. If y'all ever like what I'm wearing, this is her, okay? She's always the person who keeps me together.
Hit me up.
All right. But she taught me about dressing in monochromatic colors, right? And so that's one way that you can always show up and look polished. You can look put together when you just wear, you know, color on color. Minimal same effort. Right? A lot of really minimal effort. It's so good, so easy. It's a simple way. The other thing, the life hack with this, with showing up, always looking on point, is to dress 25% better than what the occasion calls for. How do you do that? We do that with accessories. It's accessories. You know, that's because she's lightweight a stylist. I'm trying to tell y'all. I don't know if she's accepting clients or whatever, but I'm her client, okay? But listen, the 25% better, look, a little jewelry, your shoes, the handbag that you choose, right? It all makes a difference. And so now you're up 25% better than what the average will show up as, okay? And so that's what we can do as a life hack, just to keep us always on point when we're showing up to all the different things that our life calls us into. What about you, Shanelle? What you think about that life hack?
I like that one.
You like it? I like it. All right. Do you have a life hack that you want to share with us? What's something that you know that you're like, let me tell y'all about this thing?
My life hack is always have a positive attitude. Yes. Even if it's not a real positive attitude, just fake it until you make it.
Pull it together. Get one.
I love together.
Get you a positive attitude. Y'all heard it here.
That makes sense, though. Like, for real. Life hack. If you in a space, because I've been in some spaces I didn't want to be in.
And you got to pull it together.
And they just show all over my face.
Me too.
So it's like, okay.
But you got to get it together.
Yeah, get it together.
Channel your positivity.
Okay.
So, Miss Shanelle, thank you for being here with us today. We are so glad to have you. So tell us a little bit about you, who you are, what you do.
So my name is Shanelle Smith. I am in the mental health field, so I'm currently practicing as a care coordinator for a psychiatry department, and then I'm also a therapist part-time. In addition to that, I'm also a part-time PhD student at UGA, Go Dogs, in the Educational Administration and Policy program. So I'm a second year trying to balance work, school, and life. But I am happy to be here.
Yes. Well, thank you for being here. Yes.
Happy.
And we were just, I mean, the write-up we got about you, and the other write-ups were like, oh, okay, well, she's clearly the winner of this Rich in Mind Award. It's just, I want you to talk a little bit about the work and the research you've done in this space of mental health, and how even, I think you do a lot of stuff with kids, but even how it pertains to families in the household.
Yes. So when I graduated with my master's in counseling, I guess because I'm young, everybody just always put me with the children. So I originally started doing community-based work. So I was going into the homes, working with kids and their families, and I really enjoyed that. But then I also realized, like, I'm going into the homes, but I'm not touching as many lives as I could. So I transitioned to another position where I was working in the schools, and in that way I was able to work with the schools, the kids, the families, and kind of do all of those things. And kind of from there, that's where my interest in like education policy and leadership came. I just became interested in like discipline policies, trauma, how it affects kids, what it looks like, and then just the whole dynamic of kids, family, trauma, and like how they all work together.
Yeah. Can we dive into that a little bit about the family and kids trauma? So we know that growing up, so we talked a little bit about this earlier, about this whole, the first truths and things like that you learn. It's within your family dynamics. But even in that, there are a lot of things that happen inside homes that affect us in different ways. Absolutely. And so let's dive us into some of that about the traumas that kids, from the kids' perspective, right? You gotta be able to take notes
every day, and you don't know what you're gonna get some days. And I need a pen for this.
And go ahead.
The most interesting thing that I've learned, kind of on like the opposite side of working with like college students and like young adults, one of the questions that I have to ask in our consultation is like, well, have you ever experienced any forms of trauma? And then a lot of people are like, oh, no, not really. And then when I get into family dynamics and they're like, oh, my mom was abusive, or my dad, didn't pay the bills and we didn't have food, or things like that. And a lot of times people don't understand that some of the circumstances that they're living in are traumatic because in the household, your family, it's kind of just been a norm. And so even when I like work with students or work with children and I kind of bring it to their attention, like, that actually is pretty traumatic.
A traumatic situation.
And they're like, well, no, it's not. And I'm like, well, if we look at the research, it is. But a lot of people, it takes a lot for them to even come to terms with that because it is so normal. Or if I ask about like physical abuse, they're like, oh, no, like no physical abuse. And then when we get into the nitty gritty, they're like, oh, my mom used to throw a shoe at my head. Like stuff like that. And I'm like, that's physical abuse.
I guess when you hear the word trauma, or for me, I always think something extreme. Oh, I almost died. So that was traumatic.
Right.
But I've never peeled back the layer of, I don't know, a shoe being thrown at my head as something traumatic.
Right.
Not to say that I had shoes thrown at my head, but for that example, like I could see where if I was asked, I wouldn't say it wouldn't even register that it was traumatic.
Yeah. But, or being in a house where people are yelling at you all the time, right?
That is verbal abuse.
Yeah, I can see that, Keisha. Yeah. I wouldn't think I wouldn't say it was a traumatic experience. So I can see that. Yeah. So I can see that. So when you're in this space of talking with the kids and they're coming into these realizations, do you also have to follow up with the parents once the kids have this realization, or how does...
So if there is any physical, sexual abuse, that is something that I legally have to report, which is my least favorite part of my job. But when I talk to students about it and when I talk to parents, if there is any physical abuse, sexual abuse, etc., I try my best to kind of get the parent on board to kind of help me through that process of having to report them. Because if you just like go and report a parent, especially if you have rapport with them, it's not really going to go well. They're like, oh, well, I thought we were better. Like, I thought we had a good relationship. And so I also try to take into consideration that a lot of these parents don't know that some of the things that they're doing is forms of abuse, or it is traumatic to their kids too. So I work with providing like psychoeducation with them so that they are aware and so they don't continue that cycle and so their children don't continue that cycle too.
Because a lot of it is learned anyway. How you're being parented is probably how your parent was parented. So it's that generational trauma.
What are maybe some of the top 3 things that you could share with us and the audience as parents that we can either look out for or do better with?
The first thing I would say is listening to your kids. I know a lot of times parents are like, oh, like they're a child, they don't know any better. Kids know a lot more than we think they do. Like I've talked to kids and their emotional intelligence is a lot higher than I thought it would be, or their like understanding of life and life circumstances is a lot higher. So I do think parents should listen to their children. Not being afraid to like relearn. As we get older, we kind of get stuck in our ways, myself included. We get stuck in our ways, and it's kind of hard to get out of that because it's easier. It's what we're used to. But I think it's important as a parent and just in general to be willing to unlearn some of the things that we've kind of been told or that we've been taught or that we've just kind of gotten accustomed to doing. A third one. Would you say for parents or just anybody in general?
Yeah, and I'm saying for parents because I think that, like to Keisha's point, they're doing what they're parenting the way that they were parented. And I'm just trying to see what are some of the things that, we can do different.
I'm a huge advocate for therapy. So
Okay.
I say everybody needs to be in therapy.
That's a great one. I agree.
It's not enough therapists for everybody to be in therapy, but I still push for it.
Yes.
And I say that because as a parent, there are a lot of things that can come uncovered if you go to therapy. Because of course you might have this seemingly great relationship with your child, or you might not have a great relationship with your child. But either way, in therapy, you're going to start uncovering some of the things that you've experienced and how that impacts you, how that impacts your parenting skills. And then even in therapy, you just also get an opportunity to make some changes about how you respond to your child, but then also make some changes about just how you respond to life in general.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like a win-win because you're becoming a better parent, but you're also becoming a better you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that.
I like that.
So there's this conversation or this topic going around about gentle parenting. And we won't stay on parenting the whole time. I promise we won't stay on this thing the whole time as we're talking about being rich in mind. But what's your, I don't even know the words because some of the kids, you're like, why didn't their mama tell them? And then you like, wait, what's happening? And they're like, well, I'm on the gentle parenting thing. Well, professional thoughts, please help us with this term.
I think people can do gentle parenting.
What it mean? Let's just back up.
Yeah, so with gentle parenting, it's a new thing in the mental health world.
Okay.
My basic definition of it's parenting in a gentle way. I know that's probably, I hate when people do that, and I just did it when they define the word with the word. But when they're being calmer, you're not yelling, you're kind of giving your child chances and etc.
Okay.
My personal opinion is that gentle parenting should also be coupled with actual discipline, because sometimes gentle parenting is just oh, little Susie, it's okay, you can throw a fit in the middle of the store. That's not necessarily okay. Because also kids have to learn that there is a time and place to do things. Probably shouldn't be throwing a fit anywhere. But there's a time and place to do things. And so I think gentle parenting, it's cute, but there also needs to be some discipline.
You heard that?
See,
Friends.
Okay.
It's cute. Okay, friends. She said discipline comes with being gentle. Okay.
And honestly, this is the first time I'm ever hearing the word discipline used
with gentle parenting.
Because I feel like gentle parenting, there is absolutely no rules. There is no discipline. You just go for what you know, and as long as you feel okay, kid, we're all better for it.
Because you're expressing yourself.
What is happening right now?
Look at this kid expressing their emotions.
Discipline is what's missing from
and you can still discipline your child.
Parenting.
I have a friend that has a daughter, and I think she does gentle parenting well because she couples it with discipline. So she's also a therapist, so that.
But that makes sense to me.
Yes,
right. So
parenting.
she's able to
y'all
provide.
Get this class, okay? When Shanelle, make sure y'all stay in touch with Shanelle. Keep a lookout on her social media so y'all can find out when this gentle parenting with discipline class happens. Okay, because it's a thing and we need it obviously. So because
I'm here for that.
Same.
Everybody in this space, and I'm here for the gentle parenting.
Yeah.
I'm here for not throwing shoes at your kids.
I'm here for not now with this explanation.
Yes,
I wasn't with it 20 minutes ago.
Right.
Just to be clear, I wasn't.
Yeah, because the gentle parenting, it didn't make. I didn't understand it.
To me.
It has to be discipline.
It has to be with discipline.
And discipline doesn't have to be yelling. It doesn't
throwing
have to
shoes.
be.
Right.
It's setting boundaries.
Yes.
It's having expectations.
Absolutely.
And also being gentle within all of that. But sometimes you also have to get stern with kids. I know for me personally, when I was growing up, my mama, I wasn't bad. I talked back just a little bit. But for me, only thing I needed from her was just a look. That's it.
Yes.
And so that can be a part of gentle parenting because it's not a threat. It's not anything like that. It's just a look. It's still discipline. But a lot of people kind of hear the words gentle parenting and they're like, oh, I need to let my child just do whatever. It's like, no.
Express yourself.
Be free.
Because that's not going to work in the real world. When they
That
get
part.
18 and they can't just have
there is no
fit.
gentleness in adulthood.
They just can't.
Right. There is no gentleness.
There's no
in
gentle
in
adulthood. That doesn't exist.
Good segue. So listen, gentleness in adulthood. We talk a lot about giving ourselves grace. And so you're in this mindset space and you just told us, I mean, probably 8 different things that you do in a day. And when we first started. So how are you gentle with yourself? How are you gentle with yourself to keep yourself going?
I try to schedule in things that I enjoy doing within my day and my week. I've never actually done this, but like for the first time, I actually took a mental health day.
Yes.
Like this past Monday, I was like, you know what? I just got my full license. I'm gonna just take it off.
Yes,
I'm
congratulations.
Good. Thank you.
Let's skip over that,
skip
please.
over that.
Let's not skip over it. Can you please repeat that?
I just received my license to be a professional counselor, so that means I can practice independently in the state of Georgia.
Yes. Congratulations. I'm here for it.
Dope.
Thank you.
I'm so glad that you didn't just
She
try to
skipped
skip over that, but that's
that
okay.
That was like me saying
All
I
right.
had chicken for dinner on Monday.
Right. That's how she tried to
That's
play
what
it,
I
but it
did.
was such a big
Yeah.
deal
Yeah.
because I
That's what I
mean,
had.
we're not out here getting our
That's what I
license to practice therapy, but that's a whole nother story.
Absolutely Barely got
So
driver's
back to the other, see what I'm saying? I'd like to take a moment to thank the sponsors of the Beyond the Brunch series. It's already in you, life and leadership coaching, Miss Wanda White. She works with multifaceted women who are stuck in fear and insecurities to break free and gain confidence and clarity to work with their purpose fearlessly. For more information, visit her website at wandawhiteministries.com to stay connected and learn about upcoming events. For your auto, home, life, health, and small business needs, contact State Farm owner and agent Sherry Devouse-Dennard. Her office is open Monday through Friday in McDonough, Georgia. For more information, click the link in the description. SDD Agency insures all of Georgia, Alabama, and South Carolina. Back to the other space. So you took your mental health day.
Yes.
Just for you, to be with you.
To be with me. I went to the grocery store at like 9 o'clock, which is beautiful because nobody was there. I came back
See, that's
home.
what can happen when you're not at work.
Okay.
Right. When I came back home, I took a shower and I just laid in bed all day, and I really enjoyed it. I didn't do anything else. And I don't do that often, but like on Monday, I was like, yo, I'm ready to retire. Like, this is nice.
Yes.
But that reminded me that I need to actually do that more often so that I can like pour back into myself and take care of me.
I love that. Yeah, we're big on that. We talk about that a lot in the Rich Girls organization about being able to really fill your cup back up, right? Fill back up, because especially as women, we give out so much every single day to everybody all the time. I mean, and you're going and really doing work that's impactful, but when you do things that's impactful, it can still be draining, right? And so then we want to be able to pour out from a full cup, at least not on an empty one, right?
Yeah. Right.
So at least don't let the cup get empty. So yes, those mental health days, and I know you may not call it your mental health day. You may call it a personal day. You may call it a, self-care day, whatever you want to call it. Okay. It's your day to really be able to take care of you. That's all we're saying. And so, in this space of being mindful, how do you practice mindfulness? Or give us some things that you would say, hey, on a day-to-day basis, these are some things that could really help you in the space of being mindful and staying positive and staying positive.
So in my work, I do get overwhelmed a lot.
Okay.
Just because there's a lot of people's own personal things coming in. So one of the biggest things that I do to stay mindful and stay present, I do a lot of deep breathing. So when I get overwhelmed, kind of sitting somewhere, closing my eyes, breathing as slowly as possible, deep breaths in, deep breaths out. Another one of my favorite techniques is like a grounding technique. So it's the 5 senses. So 5 things you can see, 4 things you can feel, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can taste, and then 2 things you can smell and 1 thing you can taste.
Okay.
it's really hard to do that and pay attention to all the other noise. And that's the point of the activity, so that you can be mindful. Because if you're paying attention to what you can see, you're paying attention to what you can hear, you can't also focus on, I'm stressed out because I have this paper due next week. It's more difficult to do that. So I try to do that a little bit. And also just staying around positive people. And even if you can't be around them, talking to them, because sometimes our home and work and wherever might not necessarily be as positive, but having positive people in my corner and having people where I can vent to and like get it out, and then I'm like, okay, I'm good.
Yeah.
That's good.
I love it.
I swear I needed a pen at the beginning.
You did say that at the beginning that you needed a pen.
That was good. The 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's
because it may take you a minute. It may take you a minute or 60 seconds to do that. But that 60 seconds will reset. Helps your mind to reset.
On what you're stressed
about. Think about that. Like, to actually take the time to sit and intentionally try to find 5 of something.
5 things you can hear.
I'm gonna be gone 30 minutes on this.
But even if it takes you in that space, it's still good.
I love that.
So if you practice it more, I'm sure it gets a little bit easier.
I can't wait.
I love it. I love it. So, we talk about being rich in all areas of our lives. So what does being rich in mind mean to you?
To me, being rich in mind means being in a good mental space. So, and that doesn't mean you're happy all the time. That doesn't mean life is going great. It means that whatever life is throwing at you, you are able to handle it, and you are able to kind of bounce back from it too.
I love it.
Love that.
Yes, y'all, we have to get our bounce back faster. We got to get our bounce back faster. So that's what I think it's true for a lot of things that we go through.
Me down sometimes, and I'll call Carla, Jelon, and just be like, "Girl, you ain't gonna believe this." And then 2 days later, I'm still like, "I still can't believe this." And it's like, well, why am I still here 2 days later? Like, that's wasted time that I could be happy about something else.
For sure.
So,
but I definitely think recovery time has, we're good. You're good in that space. Much better, even with some recent things, that we've been talking through. But I think you hit it. That whole recovery time for things makes a big difference, because all the space clogged up. Everything is clogged up, and now you're just stuck on the thing.
Some great techniques on different ways to get through that recovery faster too. Like you said, we've all been kind of growing and transforming and doing things in a positive light. We're all much better women than we were last year. Let's brag on that hair flip. But to just learn that, that there are other ways to process and deal with it. Because again, we're trying what's practical for us right now. And I'm learning something new here. So
I love new techniques.
Yeah.
I love to try new things.
Always learning.
Especially with our mindset, because that's the first place we get attacked a lot of times. Is in our mind, right? So we get attacked a lot of times in our mind, and whether it's fear, insecurities, you're at your job and you stressed out and overwhelmed. You're at home and you're stressed out and overwhelmed, right? Your relationships. So all of those things, we get attacked in our mind, and I think we can sit in that stuff too long sometimes, right? And it keeps us
honestly properly processing those attacks. Culturally, we weren't taught how to do that. That's not really something that I feel like culturally we talked about. Is your feelings, emotions, how to deal with them, how to process them, how to work through them. It was like, we're gonna pray it away.
Pray it away, suppress it. And I think that's one thing that I've had to work on, because and even like my coworker, she made a comment like a few months ago. She was like, you don't process things, you just move past it. And I'm like, girl, I'm trying. I'm working on it. And so, like, even as a therapist and even as somebody in the mental health field, I have been so accustomed with just my background and growing up to, like, just suppress it, kind of keep pushing. Life not going to stop, and it's not. But it is healthy to process what you're going through. And if you need to take a day or a few days to process what's going on, that's totally fine. But again, making sure you just don't get stuck in it long term.
So when we talk about processing things, so I'm real big on helping people with the practical, how does this look for them, because people hear things and they just like, oh yeah, it sounds good. They're like, yes, I got to process things, right? I got to process this. And then they get home and they like, how I'm supposed to process it.
Right.
So what does that look like? How do we begin to do that in a practical way?
The first step would be identifying your emotion. Like, what exactly do you feel? And one of the not most important, but one of the most interesting things that I learned was something called like the anger iceberg. As a Black woman, I feel like I personally always have a lot of, not always, I have anger. Like, anger is what my most emotion that's seen, or the emotion that I show the most. And so basically the anger iceberg is literally an iceberg. So you see the top of it, and it's like anger, mad, irritated, etc.
Okay.
But then underneath is sadness, disappointment, heartbreak, fear, things like that. And so just being able to identify, like, what exactly am I feeling right now?
Yeah.
And I know it sounds kind of corny, but like using a mood chart is actually really, really helpful.
Okay.
Because there's so many words on there where it's just like, oh, like, I actually do feel disappointed and etc. So being able to like identify what your emotion is first, and then not just being like, okay, I'm sad and that's it, but like being like, I'm sad and sitting with that. Like, what does that feel like for you? Yeah, what made you sad? What does that feel like to be sad? How is that impacting me, and etc.
Yeah. And so I asked myself questions like, why did I just react like that? Why did that make me feel that way? Because sometimes I react to stuff, I'll be like, girl, why did you just, what made you just react just like that? So,
and it ain't gonna be a thought process to it. So,
but that's what I ask myself at the end of the day. Sometimes I'm like, when I'm thinking about the day, there are certain things that I've done or I said or I whatever, and I'm like, why did you do that? Why did you do that? You didn't have to do that. And so I ask myself that question. But I like what you said, the anger iceberg, because I think we do use a general word sometimes that we are just accustomed to using, but it's deeper.
Right. Something like this on TikTok, and that's crazy. But
TikTok can be real informative if you go to the right parts of it.
If you get into certain parts of it. I'm in mental talk right now because they have like the different type of talks. But I saw a post similar to what you're saying where a girl was basically saying that, you know, she had been slighted or whatever by someone. And the emotion that she was saying she was feeling, her friend was like, for real? And she was like, that don't even make sense. So she was like, I was kind of caught off guard and offended because I wanted her to get there with me. And she said she actually went back and looked at the definition, and then for synonyms, other words that could be similar to that, and she was like, I then realized that I felt disrespected. It wasn't that I felt the initial emotion of being, you know, sad or whatever. It was the disrespect. And then she was like, from there she was able to kind of work back through, this is where I felt disrespected and all the things. But it's just similar to what you're saying with this anger iceberg. I guess you could do that with all emotions. All emotions have an iceberg, but what is it really that, you know, sent you on that way? I'm gonna have a lot of homework.
Listen, ladies, we got homework from this episode, okay? We gotta get our mental right, okay? Get this rich in mind so that we can, you know, recover faster, so that we can parent better. Gentle parenting with emotions. Discipline, and identifying our true emotions. There's a lot here.
Emotions, feelings. Emotions and feelings. Like, is this not the same?
They're synonymous.
Synonymous? Okay. All right. I'm getting somewhere.
I love it.
I'm learning. I got it. Okay. All right.
I love it.
So in the world, we hear mental health issues, mental health this, mental health that. From your perspective, do you feel like that term is being misused or overused?
Yeah, so I do think, I wouldn't say it's overused, but I definitely think it's misused.
Okay.
Especially when it comes to, like, when people hear mental health, they're like, oh, you have a disorder, or you have an illness, or you have a problem. Mental health is something that everybody has. And mental health also looks different for everybody. And I think a lot of times when, you know, especially in the Black community, mental health is like, oh, you have depression, anxiety, schizophrenia, whatever the case may be. And just because somebody has a mental health disorder, the mental health is still a thing. So I'm sorry. Now I'm losing my train of thought.
You good?
But yeah, so mental health everybody has it, but I think a lot of times we just have this connotation of like mental health and negative things. I do like that mental health is becoming more popular though, because that's just showing that people are being more aware of like the mental spaces that they're in, and they're actually dealing with it.
I like that.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay.
So as we wrap this session, what would you want to leave with the audience?
I don't know. My biggest thing is you really do have to take care of your mental health and doing what is going to work for you. Like for me, traveling is my thing. That helps me kind of get out.
Where are we going next,
Get in a
girlfriend?
Right. It helps me get out, get in a good space. But for other people, traveling might be stressful, and that's okay. For some people, it might be going to yoga every week, or it might be journaling, or whatever the case may be. But making sure you find something that actually helps your mental health, and then if it starts to become like a task or it's something that starts to become overwhelming, switch it up.
Leave it alone.
Right.
Leave it alone.
Leave it alone. That's totally fine. But I do think life is crazy and life is getting crazier. And I do think it's important to just make sure you protect your peace and protect your mindset.
Yeah, so that you can say life is good.
Okay.
Right, so that you can say life is good. Yes, it's crazy, a lot of crazy going on, but my life is good. My life is rich, and I'm enjoying it, right? That's what we want to be able to say.
Right.
Another thing you said, even around the space of mental health, is finding the thing that works for you. And so, like, somebody likes working out and going, you know, so you're like, oh, I'm going to go with my friend. We're going to go work out. Well, I don't want to go work out. And I'm going to be stressed out to go work out.
Right.
So it's just causing me more anxiety.
Yeah, because she gave working out, journaling, traveling.
And some people
eating
really
good
are stressed
food.
out when they when they travel. So my husband has, well, I call it travel anxiety. Like, right? So until we get there, that's when he can relax. For me, travel starts when I wake up that morning. It's time to travel. I'm like already in this full. I mean,
Well,
it's
be
everything.
honest, travel for you starts when you start packing that suitcase 2
I mean,
weeks
that
before
too.
the trip.
I mean,
That's when
hey,
you start picking out the outfits.
Listen,
Don't do that.
It's a real thing. I'm here for that, and it really is like it's good for me, and so it's a stress reliever, and so the whole travel thing, and it's a part of the rich experiences and things like that for me. And so, but for my husband, he's on a whole different thing. He's like, oh my gosh, you know, because he's like, I got to make sure you're okay, and I got to make sure, you know, everybody's everywhere and all the things go. And I'm like, no, you don't. You just gotta like just go. Like, let's just go. And but for him, it just brings about, you know, more anxiety. But when I pointed it out to him, we were able to have a conversation about it. And so now he's more aware. And so he tries to calm, you know, he's like, oh, okay, you know, so he's like ready way early. And I'm just like I mean, we coming, you know, we chilling. And he's like, nope, let's get to the airport 3 hours early. And I'm like, bruh.
So early.
Yeah, because that's just his, you know, his thing. And so I even bent a little bit to help with that, because I'm like, okay, sure, we can go early, right? And I just let it all start early for me and made it okay so that I'm not frustrated and he's not frustrated, and it just helps ease that a little bit, right? So, yeah. You just gotta find the things, I love that work for you, because you try to jump into somebody else's things and
it's
honey,
not gonna work.
Honey, it don't fit. It don't fit, and it does not matter if your friends don't like it. Do something you like. Figure that out, okay? Your mindset is it's gonna be so proud of you. It's gonna be so happy, so relieved when you do the things that you really want to do, not the things that everybody else like, not the things that everybody else doing for self-care. If you don't like journaling, girl, don't journal, okay? Don't journal. I mean, it's good to write things out, but hey, if it's not working for you and you stressed out, can't get the first word out without being stressed out, put that down, put the pen and paper down, turn on some music or something, whatever. But find the thing that works for you, okay?
It's out there.
It's out there.
It is.
You just got to explore. Try some new things. Try different stuff, okay? Shanelle, where can they find you and how can they stay connected with you? Because they're going to be looking for this class.
So my Instagram is @_Shanelle, SHANELLE, Smith _.
Okay. All right. You heard it here. That's where you can find her. And listen, don't sleep on this, getting your mindset right, okay? And so it starts with this, y'all. We have to get our minds right. You have to be able to take care of yourself. And so it all starts right up here in this thing that just be going, talking all day long. I can't remember how many thoughts they said we have like in a day. It's some ridiculous number of thoughts that they said we have in a day. but you really can control your thoughts.
Yeah.
So you have the power. So take some of the things you learned here today, put them into action, and we'll see you on the next episode of Life of a Rich Girl.